And he was like, well, he's like, not really. I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'm waiting for Jane's bills to come in so I can pay it as soon as I get it. And I was like, I understand you. Like, I pay ahead. I think he's starting to understand that well, no, he probably will never understand. Like, I have an ESTJ mom who, like, I'm, like, on top of my stuff now because I don't like to, like, she taught me that, always pay ahead. It's nice to just not have it on my plate.
Right, because when you don't have it on your plate, that's when you're finally able to really celebrate the moments of your life. All of them, okay? If you're distinguishing between moments and celebrating some moments more than others, you're doing it wrong. According to International Foods Coffee, it's critical that each of us every day celebrate the moments of our life with a hot, delicious cup of International Foods Coffee.
So good. Where can we get it?
I don't know. This is an International Foods Coffee. I don't think it exists anymore. But let's see. I'm going to Google it and find out.
It does.
Really?
Yeah. Because she loves it too.
Look, see, they have Maxwell House has this, but these vintage ones.
Yeah.
They still make General Foods International Coffee. Oh.
Aww. I really enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah.
I used to like all the flavors. There was a mocha one. There was a Vienna one.
Oh. It is gone. It no longer exists.
Wow. Nostalgia.
We bet you forgot about the General Foods International Coffee.
No,
I haven't. I haven't forgotten about them.
Yeah, we haven't.
If you grew up in the late 80s or early 80s, actually.
Yeah, because I remember it. Paris, yeah.
The first one,
Swiss mocha.
The first one we watched was 1982. It's not just, their target audience, middle-aged women who love to laugh, reminisce, and drink instant coffee. Well, look at them. They are so celebrating the moments of their life. They are celebrating the living fuck out of those moments.
Who the hell knows what he's talking about? Post Eric.
Okay. For those of you here in the stream who want to know what I'm looking at and talking about, I'm going to put a link right here. This is a pretty important picture. It shows what life is really like when you're drinking International Foods Coffee. Turn a stormy night into a quiet evening with the after-dinner mint taste of chocolatey Irish mocha mint. Oh my God.
That was probably a newer flavor at the time.
This coffee's amazing. I know.
I feel like I'm somewhere else.
We must be in Ireland. We're not being very fire safe tonight. They've got candles lit all over the place.
Can you help me? Yeah, I got half of it.
Oh, Foldy McFolds a lot. Always trying to fold things.
I'm sorry.
You're my Foldy McFolds a lot.
I do. I just want to be able to sit next to you.
Sure, darling. I'm going to have to mute this temporarily because I want to see this. YouTube pre-YouTube. Yeah, I know we were muted. Sorry, we were watching something. I was watching old International Foods Coffee's commercials. Where did International Foods Coffee go? Why did they get rid of it?
Yeah, I know. I liked it. My mom liked it. We used to buy it all the time.
My mom and I drank it every morning. We would get up in the morning. My mom and I early, and she'd make French Cafe International Coffee's food, and we'd sit there in the family room with the sun coming up. Pretty much, most of the time, in my memory, it's always like around dawn, which means it's winter time probably, and the sun's coming up late. Anyway, we sit there and we drink International Foods coffee and chat in the morning. Like there's a lot of times we must have done that. I don't know how many times.
That's so sweet.
So it's a shame that International Foods coffee is gone.
I remember drinking it because it wasn't like my mom didn't think of it as coffee. It was more of just like a frothy drink. It was kind of like
sugar.
hot chocolate to her.
Yeah, it's a lot of sugar.
Yeah, so I remember being young and being able to drink that and like loving all the flavors. We used to drink them all. I wonder if my sister remembers, but I definitely did. I drank on my own though, I think. A lot of times.
My
mom would make it.
I rarely made it for myself. I rarely.
I didn't make it for myself either. My mom had to. Well, if I did make it for myself, I'm sure I didn't make it. I didn't read the directions, so I probably didn't make it the right way.
I liked it enough that I remember asking for it on occasion. But mostly I just waited till my mom said, "Well, here, you have a cup."
Aww. That's so nice.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking today about International Foods coffee.
Yep.
General Foods brand International Foods French Cafe coffee, in particular, was the one that we drank. But we're also talking about those wonderful, wonderful commercials.
Yeah.
Talk about an SFJ commercial. It's two middle-aged women sitting around reminiscing about a class trip in high school they had. Taste this. Just taste this and let it take you right back. Taste this. What does it remind you of?
Jean-Luc.
Vienna. That class trip. It's so good. That's so SIFE.
That is.
F-E-S-I.
I can't even.
And then they even go like, nah, and they like touch each other. Like they do that girl thing. Ah! You know how girls do that?
Like that.
Yeah. So
you're like.
But if you look at the very early commercials for it, they have a different kind of approach a little bit.
Yeah, with the one with the dude.
Well, no. Well, we watched one yesterday from 1982, which had to be probably like the first one of those commercials. Like, it had the "Celebrate the Moments of Your Life" song in it, and back then they even had the rest of the song in the background of the commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, by the time they got to 1889 or so, they had streamlined the concept of what they were going for, and so all it had left was the key part of the jingle. Celebrate the moments of your life.
I love it. And I love it that it was for that exact thing. Because he remembers a lot of jingles.
Well, I found myself singing that jingle yesterday. I was like, what's that a jingle for? And we looked it up, and there you go. It was that. I do remember a lot of jingles. That's true. Like,
hey.
Here are some Los Angeles jingles that are specific to Los Angeles. Oh, no, you won't get a lemon at Toyota of Orange. No, you. This song is still being used today, and it was used in my childhood. In contrast, if you want a car, truck, pussy, cow, it actually says go see Cal. But for my childhood, I could have sworn it said pussy cow. I didn't know what it was saying. I just said, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, because you're
If you want a cow, car, truck, pussy cow. Well, because he'd be standing there with a cow too. Kyle Worthington on the commercials always had a large animal
so funny.
with him, like a gorilla, a chimpanzee, a real animal though, not probably a gorilla because I don't think you have real gorillas around, but a chimpanzee, a cow, a goat, or some sort, or elephant. One time he was on an elephant. Yeah, he'd like get for the commercial to make it exciting, he'd put a big animal in there, like a lion or something. Probably had a lion, yeah. So, anyway, those are 2 car commercials. There's also Peto's Dodge, Long Beach Freeway, Firestone exit, Southgate. That's a good one. That's a good car commercial. And there's let me think of another old car commercial. I can't. It's almost there on the top of my head. I can't remember. Anyway, jingles are super important. When I started Autonomy Debate, one of the first things I did was come up with the jingle, which is AUTONOMY, Autonomy Debate. It's a pretty good jingle, right?
That is.
AUTOMONY, Autonomy Debate.
Autonomy Debate. Autonomy Debate.
AUTONOMY, Autonomy Debate.
I'd have to practice that.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but if you were to hear it over and over again on a commercial, it would stick.
Yeah, it would stick that. And then you know how to spell autonomy, just like she did with bananas. Gwen Stefani. BANANAS. This shit is bananas. BANANAS. I heard that you were talking shit and you didn't think that I would hear it.
Mike Jones, for you, I change shirts. And mostly I change shirts, though, because...
Can I too?
If you want to.
I'll wear it.
Do your thing inside. But mostly because I've been wearing that shirt for like 3 or 4 days. It was filthy. It was time to change shirts.
I have laundry to do too. BANANAS. This shit is bananas.
So, other jingle-related matters. We're on the topic of jingles right now. Not jingle, jingle, jingle bell rock. No. The other kind of jingle, the kind for commercials. I entered a jingle contest for 1-800-8million, the Barnes Firm. Are you in Vegas? Are you gambling?
Who's in Vegas? Oh, hey, Mike Jones.
Mike Jones, you want me to give you Eric's piece of important gambling wisdom? Here's the best odds on any kind of machine you can get, okay? You got to find multi-card Keno. Multi-card Keno machine, okay? And if you can't, find one that lets you play 20 cards at once. They exist. Most of them you find will only let you play 5 cards at once. If you can't find a 20-card one, not a big shock. There's not a ton of them out there, but you can find them. But and you play all the cards. You find one that's like a 1 cent or 5 cent per card, so that you're like, if you play 5 cards, you only pay 25 cents total per thing. And you play a lot of different numbers on the Keno cards. Every time I found a 20-card machine and taken this strategy of small bet, a lot of cards, and if you can set it up, you can see how many duplicates you have. You got to kind of get a feel for the right amount of duplicates. It's called 20-card Keno on the. It's a machine. Keno is a machine where you have 80 numbers total, and 20 of them pop up, and you have to pick which numbers. So if you use 20 cards on the machine, and you can cycle through a lot of bets with a lot of cards, with a lot of numbers on each card, with the smallest amount of duplicates among them. So with 20 cards, you're going to have duplicates because there's more numbers that you've choosing than there are possible numbers to choose. So you got to manage your duplicates so you get them kind of spread out per card and get the right amount of duplicates. And then you just do that like 100 times or something. One of the cards will hit a shit ton of the numbers and it'll pay good.
And then you go.
Yeah,
I remember. Remember when we had a couple where we did good, and you did good on the Sex and the City one. Remember?
I did pretty good on that one.
Yeah, you did. You got a lot of like whatever.
I got a lot of
Coins
sex and a lot of urban outfitting. That's what you get in Sex and the City.
And you did good on the Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that was fun.
Probably because when you're Wonder Woman, you got bracelets that can deflect any attack.
He just hit the right ones. Like he hit, like he just kept on playing and he hit the right one. And then he was like, okay, let's go. Let's cash it in.
I do enjoy gambling.
I just
20 card. They maybe have one at every casino, Mike Jones. The 20 card Keno machines. They're usually on the multi-game kings. If you go to a multi-game king, they'll have a Keno game on it or more. You got to find the right multi-game king with the right version of 20 card Keno on it. Okay, you want the pure one. You don't want Caveman Keno. You don't want Keno. All those other things are ridiculous.
I don't know. Do you know Sex and the City enough to know which character you are?
I mean, I've watched the show enough to know of the three main chicks in the show, which is
4 main chicks.
Okay, there's fancy blonde lady. There's kind of that girl next door, red haired girl.
Yep.
There's the main character. And who's the fourth one?
The brown haired one.
The brown haired one. Okay, yeah, I know. Okay. She's kind of just
she's an
normalish
SFJ.
one.
Yeah, she's SSJ.
Okay.
Some sort of, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm more like her than any of the other ones because at least I'm the same quadra.
Oh, you would be. And I'm your second married. She gets married more than once. She marries who she thinks is the perfect guy, but then they end up having like fertility problems. She wants to get pregnant, and they didn't go all the way talking about it, and they divorce.
I see.
And then
I need to answer Mike Jones's question here. It's an important gambling question.
That's okay.
The thing you do here, Mike, is you got to play all 20 cards. You got to find a machine that's cheap, like a 5-cent machine, so that you can play 20 cards. So you're only playing $1 a play, right? But you're playing 20 cards, and then you put $100 into it. Then you can play 20 cards 100 times, and you bet a large amount of numbers on each card. So it'll let you pick how many spots, right? Up to 10 spots. You got to look at the odds. Probably, I think 6 spots or 7. I think it's 6. Bet 6 spots. 6 spots on all 20. Do random. And if there's too many duplicates on one, then move a couple of them around. It'll show you duplicates. It'll have an asterisk on it.
If Eric is Carrie, then am I Mr. Big? Or I could be Miranda. That was a true love. She was that was an INTJ ENFP friendship that was really like, it brought me to tears.
INTJ ENFJ, you said? ENFP. Sex and the City is an awful example for women.
I don't think look, the way they lived is a fantasy. They're supposed to be upper class, like single women. It's supposed to be that way. And they do reference Carrie like not spending over her means in a full episode. But I think the best way to watch that show is not on network television, not on TBS. You have to watch it on HBO or the DVDs, because then you get the real like full show. Because there's a lot of like innuendos at the and stuff that you and
Okay, well,
topics that you
Rachel,
can't.
remember, Lawnmower has got some shall we say, old-fashioned views about gender.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would love to be Miranda to your Carrie.
Okay, I don't know anything about this show. That show's. I'll be honest with you, Rachel. If you were to say pick a show that's incredibly boring, Eric, before if I did not know that you like that show at all or anything, I'd probably say something like Sex in the City, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I like it.
You got to understand that I respect you liking it. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't like it, but I am trying to say that I find that show very boring.
Well, it's definitely not made for ENTPs at all.
Or men.
No, it's not really. I knew an ENFJ who liked it.
It's a girl show. ENFJs would like it. ENFJ men or ESFJ men might like it.
Yeah, ESFJ men.
Yeah, that's true.
ESFP men like it too.
Possibly.
Yes, they do. Because I know a friend of mine who is an ESFP. He used to watch it when he was in relationships with women.
Okay.
So, gay guys watch it too. Yeah. I watched it because
Tiny Man, they prefer to be referred to as the gays.
yeah, they do.
The gays are man. So yeah, I mean the thing is, I too, Lawnmower actually, and Rachel as well. We all three of us have bring moralism into our media consumption. There's certain kinds of lyrics that Rachel doesn't like, and I don't. Usually, Rachel doesn't like those lyrics. There are also lyrics that I independently don't like. Lyrics that are too amoral, too misogynistic, or just
undercurrents of that even.
Yeah, too like I'd probably here's an example of a song that I can listen to and enjoy, even though I don't like the lyrics or disapprove of the lyrics, and the only reason is because it's so upbeat. Is OPP? It's like I don't approve of that song.
I didn't even know. I don't approve of that song either. But I was such a kid when I was singing it. I had no idea. Millennials have I'm since I'm an early millennial, I'm gonna give myself bragging rights here because I feel like I want to. Since I'm an early millennial, I have a wide variety of music that I listen to. And they say that it's really hard for early millennials because we have like the rules that were used for like baby boomers, and we care about the political things that the Gen Xers do, but we also understand the importance of taking a stand, but doing it in a moral way. So it's like, but the shimmering light is that we have like the best taste in music, and it's true. I do. I will absolutely say that I have the best taste in music.
The thing is, it's a growth thing for me anyway, or a change of sorts. In other words, there once was a time when I judged the art in that capacity entirely as like something could fully succeed as an example of sort of being hard or whatever, without me endorsing it as the message of it, but still endorsing the art and enjoying it entirely. That didn't necessarily impact me. That component of things didn't necessarily impact my enjoyment of it at all. That's changed a little bit. That's changed a little bit. But
I was like that as a kid too.
And I thought of Strawberry Fields Forever. Oh, yeah, Beatles have lots of. There's hardly anything Beatles make that it doesn't have Hardy NI in it. it's a very NI band, but it's also they do the balancing thing. They do the balancing act that needs to be done.
Thank you, King King Krishna Summer Bagu. I knew it was a fake. I so fucking knew it. So I now feel not bad about mistaking his name because I don't like the name Frank. Thank you for doing that, King King.
What?
Summer Bagu.
King Christian Song for you. What? There was something else besides. There was something that made you think it wasn't him at the time, anyway, right? What was it that made you think that? Because as I evaluate the data, I still don't conclude that that's.
You think he's lying?
No, I don't think that. No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying I don't. I'm not saying you're not right that he was that he didn't. It wasn't him. That's fine. I accept that. I'm saying when I evaluate the evidence, I still think to myself there weren't cues that would indicate that. So I'm asking, how did you know? I'm still not 100% sure because he may not have remembered or something like that, or he may just have been like, if it was the fourth, he probably knew what he was doing, so maybe he did. I don't know.
I think he's telling the truth.
I don't think he's lying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree with King Krishna Pagu. His way of talking, it gave me clues too, and also there was a typo in it because like whoever was playing him like definitely has been in his streams before and knows his typing skills. And there was one that was off.
All right, cool. All right, so I guess you guys have better instincts for this ability. That's fine. That's why I'm not an INFJ. Good evening, Steely Bob.
Good evening, Steely Bob.
Okay. Thing is, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at that, at picking out when people are not legit in some way. But I guess I missed that one because they didn't have an agenda other than trying to fake like they were Frank James. If they were coming in faking like Frank James and trying to push some sort of bullshit agenda, then I would have been able to pick up on it easy. But without any agenda pushing, I guess I couldn't tell. The short hair loops looks great, and so does yours, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steely Bob.
What did Winston's mom say? Can't and I pattern recognition. Well, were you in that chat, Winston's mom? Do you remember? Did you think of anything was off? It's a smart move. It's not nice, but it's a smart move.
As long as we got each other, we got the world sitting right in our hands, baby, you and me. Can't you see? Yeah. Sharing the laughter and love.
Sharing the laughter and love.
Yeah. I remember the lesson when the lesson Mike learned when he got a job as a salesman of electronics gear, and he had kind of a shady coworker who was teaching him the ropes and who showed him the old bait and switch maneuver. And Mike came home and was bragging about making so much money using this bait and switch. But Alan Thicke said, Mike, maybe you should put yourself in those customers' shoes. Are you sure what you're doing is honest? And Mike learned an important lesson that day.
That is an important lesson. Wow, how on the nose.
Why can't NI explain? Because the process is associative, so it's too big in its conclusions to explain. Because it's synergistic. It's tying into when things are, when conclusions or totalities are greater than the sum of the parts, that's NI. So what I was asking is, I said, when I look at the total parts here, I saw 7 parts that seemed suggestive of and 2 parts that didn't seem suggestive of anything really, but were neither consistent nor inconsistent. And you're saying no, because the answer is there was a chip on this one, and there's a little scratch here that also looked like Mia, and there was this here. And when all those things came together, the totality of it was a conclusion that was more correct than the one indicated by the data as the individual. If I add up the parts, they add up to 7. If you add up the parts, they add up to 8.
Yeah.
8 turns out to be correct because I'm not adding up things that you're adding. I'm not including little clues that I don't think are relevant because they're not part of any defensibility thing.
Yeah, like the first thing that tipped me off was that there's no check mark next to his name, because the last time he was actually in it, there was a check mark in his name, and that's how it stood out. But then I was like, YouTube is changing its rules all the time, so cool, maybe they're not doing that anymore.
Oh yeah.
So it was hard to tell just from his profile pic because it matched exactly. But then,
right. But yeah, I agree. The other thing is that person wasn't trolling. So in other words, they weren't immediately revealing any utility for imitating that person. So let's say I were to come in and pretend to be Kane Krishna Sarmapagu. Well, what's my angle here? Am I trying to just get away with it and see if people believe that I was Kane Krishna Sarmapagu, really act like Kane Krishna Sarmapagu, or am I trying to use my position as Kane Krishna Sarmapagu to shame Jason Blood or something?
Yeah, or to leverage the conversation so that you get more of what you want to talk about.
Sure. So if it were the second one, I think I would have been able to identify that as there being something going on there.
Yeah.
But with the first one, I'm more likely to, because I'm looking for that second thing instead, I'm more likely to buy the first one.
I'm happy that she checked up with him, though, about that.
Me too. Does Rachel have aha moments all the time? They're aha for me. They don't seem very aha for her.
Well, in our relationship, I have aha moments like, aha, I'm an asshole. Or a jackass, you know?
But,
and then I apologize.
Thank you, Rachel. But I don't think that, aha, I'm an asshole is the example that we're looking for necessarily here. You have lots of good in it. I know. You're very accountable. I appreciate it.
Before I wreck myself. It's true. For realsies.
Don't forget to chiggity check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. Okay?
That's the riggedy Rick way.
You have to put the iggities in there. Rachel, but what I was saying there is Rachel a lot of times has aha moments for me. And in fact, even thinking about, including her in my thinking causes me to miss fewer NI things. Like, it was an example just the other day, but what was it? I can't remember. It's right on the tip of my brain.
All that's in my head right now is that theme song.
Which one?
As long as we got each other.
Yeah. Can your NE throw her NI upside down often? Is that you can always come up with ways it doesn't work? Well, see, that's where it matters as to whether you're on the same team or not. I'm not working to do that.
No.
The nice thing is, as an NE Dom, could I do that? Yeah, sure. I could dismantle her NI all the time, but it would be purposeless because it wouldn't change the reality of things. It would. The only time look, there are NIs that I do have to contradict her about all the time, and they're typically whenever we're having trouble, it's because she's NIing negative stuff about the relationship.
Because I'm getting the NE information from other sources, not him. So I'm drawing my own conclusions from other people's conclusions.
Can't get Krishna Sarmapagu? No. The answer is no. Do you ever think a person who's blind can develop good NI or have the possibility of being an NI dom? No. However, that doesn't mean that an NI polar person won't periodically surprise you with a bit of good NI. Just like an NE polar person will periodically surprise you with a good joke every once in a while.
What?
An NE polar person will occasionally, every once in a while, make a good joke and shock the hell out of you when they do.
Yeah.
An NI polar person will occasionally come up with some good NI. My dad did it last night. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember thinking, that's good NI.
Yeah.
You hate it when sources say, I agree.
It was funny talking to your dad about Long Island wines, and he was almost like I can't even talk about it. I'm like, we don't think of our wines like that. Trust me, they go on wine tours to get drunk. We don't brag about our wine. Like, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to brag. We don't brag.
I don't think you understood the question correctly, Raphael. She was just saying, can a person's relationship with functions in their stack change that dramatically over time? No, the answer is absolutely not. There's no such thing as becoming an NI dom. You are what you are, and you're that way forever. If Rachel were to become an NE dom, she wouldn't be the same person. She'd be a different human being. And it's like a human being's affect, which is to say, the part of a human being you get to see and know things about and interpret and stuff like that, comprises their I'll see your thing here, Can. Oh, you're actually talking about blind people who can't see? You are, man. I guess I misread the question.
Oh.
Well, of course, blind people can have good NI. They're just going to apply it to different kinds of data. So, if you just close your eyes and go into a room, and you're right, Raphael, I stand corrected. My bad. You are correct. Okay. If you go into a room and with blindfolded Can, Krishna, Sarma, Pagu, and all you have to use for data is the sound of people talking and the other data, such as the smells of the room and the feel of things and things like temperature and tone and all kinds of other stuff like that you pick up on, then that's what you will draw your NI conclusions from. You will end up knowing that you're in a restaurant, not because you can see it's a restaurant, but because you can hear the sound of cutlery and people murmuring and so forth. The thing to remember is that everybody uses NI all the time without thinking about it. When you walk into a store you've never been in before, you can look at let's say the store starts here and then goes back around the corner. You can look at the store from the outside, kind of peek in, you know what the store is, and decide whether you want to go in there or not. That's NI, knowing what the store is, knowing that you don't have to go walk around the corner back there to see that this is just a clothing store that you don't want to go into. It's got a bunch of ladies in there picking clothes or whatever. Yeah. Even if you couldn't see what people were looking at in the store, if you looked in and you saw just a bunch of all middle-aged ladies walking around with clothing in their hands, you conclude it's a clothing store and I don't want to go in there. Or if everybody had a bunch of knickknacks in their hands, like Pier 1 shit and stuff. You can just sort of tell what kind of store a store is. Just like you can tell this is a cigarette. That this is a cigarette, that you know that this is a cigarette, whether I show it to you from this angle, whatever the actual data is changing constantly as to what it looks like, what I'm saying about it. If you could smell it, it would smell the same consistently. But how far away it is from you depends on how much you can smell it. But you still know it's a cigarette, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what NI is. It's that simple. It's understanding the entity part of things.
Yep.
This is not just fiberglass and ground up leaves and paper. This is a cigarette. It's a thing with a name.
Before I knew I was INFJ, I would take surveys, and a lot of times the people would say, "Don't worry, your answers are common with the larger whole." So, like, I would be a good example. Like, on surveys, I was always a good example of what the average mean was in going on in that survey. Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, your question mark are bad at NI then. Okay. If you think this is a joint, you have bad NI. If you're not sure, if this, well, it could be a cigarette or it could be a joint, that's countervaluing NI in favor of NE.
Question mark, are you not American?
No, he's just playing a joke. He's just joking around.
Oh, because I don't know, spliffs sometimes look like cigarettes.
Even if they do, they probably don't have this filter thing. So look,
No, they don't.
If you use NI, and I say this is a cigarette, and you just leave it at that. If you're any tool, you probably sat there and go, wow, could have been one of those cigarette making machines that you get where you have a filter and it's paper attached, and then you could have ground up weed and put weed in instead of marijuana, instead of tobacco, so it could actually be a joint with a filter in theory. If you do all that shit, you're probably any tool. You're probably countervaluing NI.
Running Fox, you and I are on the same levels. I have been changing my icon probably just as much as you lately. I think NI DOMs are bad at judging situations instantly. NE is pretty good at reading the room. I'd agree with you on that. Like, I like to suss things out. That's what I tell people. I like to suss it out. But the thing is, sometimes I don't have the words to directly say to the person, hey, actually, let me think about that for a little bit, because I'm a 7. So I sometimes do impulsively say yes to things. But overall, I do make better decisions, and I do take better action when I take my time to think.
The thing to remember is that NI is a knowledge function, not a deliberation function. So there's 2 components to that. NI is both instant, depending on how many data points NI has to process. It could be instant. When I ask you, what is this thing? And you say, it's a fly swatter, even though you can't see the whole thing, you're using NI. You only need to process a few bits of data to know about. So it's instant. But the thing is, when you talk about reading a room, at that point, you're still knowing, okay?
Yeah.
So it's fine to. INFJs are not slow at reading rooms, but they want to read a room more thoroughly than an ENTP does.
Yeah.
So ENTP will get a quick glance of what the room is, but INFJs are knowers, so they want to have a more thorough bunch of knowledge about something before they interface it with it, and as they're interfacing with it.
I can actually say, if I am going to a party of a person that I know, so say my friend Jim invites me to a barbecue and I don't have a friend, I am going to go to the party and look for Jim.
Right, sure.
That's what I'm going to go to first, and then I'll mingle, and then I go to the food.
Right, because you're a knower first, You're not an interfacer first. So, like, FE DOMs will go there and figure, I will interface my way through this party. I'll go talk to people and interface.
Yep.
INFJ wants to know going in how they're going to interface in the party. And that means knowing who they're going to talk to.
Yeah.
And
what kind of party it is.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas any DOM will figure that they can they can make the party become what they want it to be.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes they can, and usually they can't. And that's where
true.
many disasters happen because
True.
the ENTP assumes I'll be able to meow on the fly. Oh, I don't need to practice flying this plane. I'm sure once we're in the air and it's my turn to take over, I'll figure it out. You know?
I'm not doing that with you.
Of course not.
Ever.
No, but that's the general idea.
Yeah, it is. It is. Right? You would do that. but you are good at.
More often than other people would think, I actually can. But I'm too optimistic.
Yeah, you can.
I gotta poop super bad.
Okay. Oh, he has to poop. He is the belle of the ball. He is. He is the entertainer. I think ENFP like to think that they're the belle of the ball, but it's really ENTP. Because they want your applause. They're very good actors. They don't come around a lot, but when there is, they're good. I read a book, then I feel I understood. Sorry, I don't have the remote. Jeez. You're lucky if you get a INFJ to the party in the first place. That's why the INFJ wants to know who's going to be there. I am a 7, so I actually don't mind parties. Sometimes, like, I encourage it. Like, when, for Father's Day, Delilah wants to know we're going to do something, I was really happy because we were going to be having company over and it was very social. I do like parties. I'm a party person. But I do want to know who's coming. But I would think I'm more open about that. Because I'm a 7. So it's like, I definitely want to know who's coming. Like, I'm not going to want I'm not going to be thrilled if my friend brings a person that I don't know to the party, but I'm not going to freak out too much over it. I'll be again, try to suss it out. I suss things out. Cause I'm a 741 in the tri-type of Enneagram, and it affects my life a lot. That's why I didn't think that I was an introvert for a long time, because I was living a very FESE lifestyle, NTE, and so I thought I was more extroverted than I actually am, but it's because I'm 7 personality type, which is more of a energetic type. Hi, Zandy. How are you? What are you doing today? If you're a 3, you definitely want to know where the action is. Do you look the stuff up online? Updone Plates 48. That's not how I spell my name, but thank you. It's LAPELOSA. Being type 1, I can be very perfectionistic. I remember one time when I was really down, I read a book about feng shui, and I was just oh my God, my life is in shambles. I don't have any of the feng shui going on in my room. I need to change everything up. And it was so over the top perfection that I was oh, I need to not do that, because that's not my normal nature. My normal nature is 7 more than 1.
So I was thinking.
Oh, you're getting a haircut? How nice.
I was thinking in there as I was pooping that okay, that I want to talk a little bit more about this NI thing and use this Frank James thing and the what is this? Yeah, what is this thing? It's a knife. Okay, so in this instance, this tells us all we can explain and understand a lot of.
Is this a switchblade?
No, it's a
Knife?
It's a knife.
Pocket knife.
It's just a knife. It's a pocket knife. I guess it's a belt knife. Flip it onto your belt.
I like it.
Thank you. So look, we're talking about this fake Frank James, right? Fake Frank James and this knife. Both instances, we're asking NI, what is this thing? Okay. NI is telling us what something is. And the protoform of NI, I've gone over this before, I'm going to go over it again. The protoform of NI is what's called object constancy. And no, it's not called object constancy. Shape constancy, that's what it's called. Shape constancy. Shape constancy is proto-NI. When you're a baby, there are two kinds of proto-knowledge you have. The first proto-knowledge is object permanence. So when you're playing peekaboo with a baby and you hide their eyes and then you open their eyes and they're surprised to see the object again, that's when before they've learned object permanence, they're surprised. Okay. After they learn object permanence, they're not surprised. Object permanence is proto-SI. It tells you that things that are someplace stay there until they're moved. Okay. And so that links directly into remembering where you put your stuff. And that's what SI does with objects. It remembers where objects are. It remembers not just where you put your stuff, but it remembers how to get from the airport to the condo in Hawaii and tells you about it before you leave irrationally, you know? So you sit here while I give you directions from the airport to the condo in Hawaii today, 3 days before you go to Hawaii. You know, that kind of crazy shit that ESTJs do. So SI keeps track of where things are and, you know, how things went before so that you can repeat those things. If you want to find your wallet, you remember where you left it. The thing is about NI, of course, the equivalent to that is shape constancy. It doesn't matter what direction I show you this thing to you as, you realize it hasn't changed. It's not a different object because it looks different. It's the same object the whole time, right? That's called shape constancy, and that's proto-NI. NI is about the identity of a thing independent of you, and SI is about the location of a thing relationally to you. That's in terms of physical objects, okay? Now, if we include in this question, in this discussion, the fake Frank James. The fake Frank James is also an object that we're looking at, and it also has shape constancy. In other words, is Frank James the same Frank James, even though we're looking at a different angle on him? So right now, I'm not repeating exactly what I've said before. I'm not quoting myself, so to speak, but nevertheless, you can tell it's still me. Even though I'm saying different words than I've ever said before, I'm not a new person. I'm still me because I still have the same identity as an object, a metaphysical / physical object called an agent. I still have the same identity as that, regardless of whether I'm behaving exactly the same as I behaved before. All right, so then if we think about this Frank James thing, we can understand how these things work in terms of fields as well. There being 4 fields. So the fake Frank James was putting out data on the external metaphysical field. And the NI types were interpreting that data as like seeing that it did look, it was presenting itself as this. Okay, so it had some qualities of a knife, namely it had some qualities of actual Frank James. It had the same picture as Frank James, this little circle, and it said Frank James next to the name. Yeah. But that, in fact, it was not the real Frank James. It was a different Frank James, which means it had a different identity, right? Okay, so looking at the fields then, if you're here, when you're looking at this live chat, and I'm looking at this live chat, we are attending to what is textbook external metaphysical field. When deciding whether that was the real Frank James, we couldn't see him.
Yeah.
If we had been able to see him, video of him live or something, we would be able to not spend much time determining whether he's the real Frank James, because when we have visual cues for things, and the things we're talking about are non-fungible, which means they're not interchangeable for each other, they're not like coins or something, then looking at it is sufficient to tell us the identity of that thing almost always. This is a mug. It's not a racing car. And you don't have to feel it. You don't have to smell it. You just have to look at it to tell that. So, NI is a knowledge function that's best suited for objects that exist on the metaphysical external field, because unlike SI, it attends to the rightness of identity rather than the consistency of relations. Now, I'm using that lawnmower. I'm using that as an example to talk about the fields and the functions. I don't care about that. It's an interesting example to work with, is what I'm saying. It demonstrates how the fields work. If we have data on the external physical field, it's typically pretty straightforward to know the identity of a thing with our NI, because visual data provides a lot of information. However, the idea of forgeries, like a painting that's a forgery, for example, is proof that that NI is foolable, right?
That's why that meme of that painting of Jesus that old lady did, that's the best NI meme ever. So she told the Italians that she claimed to be this big artist and she could restore this painting of Jesus, and it ended up looking like
well, terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's explain how one would deal with something differently according to the epistemology functions. So the epistemology functions are NI, SI, TI, and FI, your introverted functions. And those are how you know and decide things, okay? If we're talking about a painting that's a forgery, let's say somebody has purchased a painting and it's a forgery. Now, NI will say, I got a great painting here. If it's a good forgery, okay, it'll believe, oh, this looks like the painting. It's the painting. SI let's say your significant other just saw that painting in a museum hundreds of miles from here. While you were buying it, he was looking at it in a museum hundreds of miles from here. Okay, he remembers having seen it someplace else that's not here very recently, and it couldn't possibly have been here by the time I saw him recently. Yeah. And so what am I going to say? I'm going to say, well, but no, I know where this painting is. It's not here. It's over there. I just came from there. And what do you want? Mouse? Okay. Yeah. And then TI will say, well, it's inconsistent with data that we know concurrently about this painting and who it belongs to and where it is. It's in a museum currently. Therefore, this can't be the real one. And then FI would say, if I was the one to purchase the painting, but I really want it to be the real painting, and would insist it's the real painting anyway, maybe, right? So those are epistemology functions.
Can I save it as a link?
Yeah, it's a terrible picture.
Wait.
Who hired the person to do that? Is the question.
What is
Just push the picture. Open a new tab. Open image in new tab. Not was you didn't do the right thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Right click, open image in new tab.
Image.
Down.
Ah.
All right, now try saving it. Right click. There you go. See?
Should I do it on the
You save it there. It's fine.
This-
Downloads.
PC?
No, downloads is fine.
Downloads?
Yeah. Why are you?
I'm trying to find it so that I could show them.
Then put it on the desktop if you want to find it.
Yeah.
It's easy to find no matter where it is because you just use quick access and it shows you the most recent things.
True. I'm just gonna put it on the desktop.
Fine.
Cause like all I want to here. Copy. I was gonna put the link in the
So, the thing is, when you are talking about,
Thank you, NH.
when you're talking about like NI and any, what does you can understand any by going, what does the any tool function do when you say this is a cigarette? It will always say maybe not. Maybe it could be a hand rolled joint using one of those tubes with a filter attached that you can get. Maybe it's that. We don't know for sure that it's So any says basically we don't know is what it first says, and NI first says we do know. So there's an inherent sort of conflict there until. But see, any DOM, as opposed to any tool, says it says knowing matters, but I want to be the one who decides what we know. Personally, Eric, I tend to go with maybe it's meth. Maybe what's meth? Oh, this? Yeah, this might be meth.
All right, Steely Bob, LOL. That's just like. Even these flies are sitting here chilling, watching the.
I gotta kill those
stream.
flies.
Yeah, you do.
Seems like every time I open the door for 5 seconds,
I know.
I got flies galore.
You got them?
No, I don't got one of them.
Nice though.
Better than none.
Yeah.
We've had a bit of an infestation of flies as yesterday and today. Well, not so bad today. All right. I killed a lot of flies in here yesterday. The problem is there are some parts of the day when I prefer to have the doors open than to have the air conditioning on. But then you get a lot of flies. Continue on any and I talk. Well, okay. So
Hey, CJ O'Connell.
Well, I mean, I think what this the identity of everybody here in the chat, be it Frank James or Email Anthrax or CJ O'Connell, like look at CJ O'Connell. I see his normal square picture, but somebody could copy that.
Yeah.
And I see his normal bold lettered name with multiple four capital letters and an apostrophe. I'm pretty sure it's CJ O'Connell, and my NI is right about this because my justifications for it are all SI justifications. I remember that this is how.
Sure.
So the thing is, when you're talking about the fake Frank James, he was consistent enough with the basic SI points that I ever recalled. His picture being the same, his name looking the same, that I just went ahead and give it the NI go ahead. Because I used the visual data, and visual data provided me meow for NI. And that's as far as I went with it. Because as far as the intuitive half of the world goes, my attention is directed to the NE. So, in other words, I got fooled by the physical cues and didn't pay attention very much to the metaphysical cues, because the metaphysical aspect of things, I was doing extroverted intuition stuff, not introverted intuition. Eric, I need your wisdom. I have cut cantaloupe that is a little bit slimy, but no discoloration or mold on it. It's fine.
You should be okay.
It should be fine.
You can even cut the slimy part off if you'd like. You should be okay.
Is there anything dead or rotten near the door, something to attract the flies? Well, we do have trash cans in here, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just, and the cat food. The cat food attracts the flies into the house.
Yeah.
Rinse it off. There's good TE. My answer. See, I answer in a TI way, right? Is it good or is it not? She asked me that. Well, I did just what a TI tool user does. It's good.
It's so
Eat
funny. In my mind, I'm like, how slimy. Like in my mind, I'm like, how slimy is it?
She did an NISI knowing thing.
Ugh.
She basically said, my NI tells me I need more SI data, right?
Yeah.
I did a TI thing.
Yeah.
She also probably did an FE thing in the sense that she didn't jump in and say her answer first, let me say my answer first.
Of course. Winston's
mom does straight up TE. Wash it. Duh. Winston's mom's like, my character, Carl, Carl's Insightful Solutions, Carl, he's very NI like that. That's what his advice he always tells people is NI advice like that.
That's great.
Oh, I dropped my pineapple in the dirt. Wash it off. You know?
I mean, that's not bad. But I would definitely cut off the slimy parts. That's just me personally. They say with apples too that you should eat around the bruised parts. I follow that as well, but that's just me.
Right.
Some people don't care.
I eat around the unbruised parts.
The way people do things are not a big deal in life.
Says the TE forward person.
Do I show it more and more?
I can refuse to continuously write the same thing. I'm putting my foot down. Why are you continuously writing the same thing? Haven't you ever heard of copy and paste? One thing, my ENTP wife always reasons the same way. NE assumes a lack of knowledge. I mean, yeah, NE assumes that that the way to go is not necessarily to know, or that it's very skeptical inherently of what you claim to know. If it's a metaphysical knowledge. If you claim to know something physical, that's different. If you claim to know that you that the flashlight is by the table in the hall, that's SI knowledge,
that is
right?
SI, yeah.
And I don't doubt that knowledge. I assume you probably do know that, because there's no reason to. It's like subjective knowledge of that sort, in some sense, can't be wrong. It can be, but it rarely is. It can't. It's wrong plenty. Like, I guess I didn't leave it there, but it's not wrong in a larger sense. Like it doesn't lead you as far astray as wrong and I might.
Yeah,
you know?
Wrong and I can lead you cross country with a diaper after you don't want to be an astronaut anymore.
Right. But yeah, you
Seriously,
really shouldn't trust your
really...
NI if you're an SE Dom. SE Doms should not trust their NI at all. SE Doms NI does that, or tells them, go do this.
So, question mark, the apple pie, it's funny, we've talked about the kitchen before. Like, I would actually probably not mind trying making apple pie for Eric. I would do it the simplest way possible, first of all. That's just the truth. But I don't feel it's my kitchen yet. So I feel weird about it. And I know I shouldn't, but that's just the truth. And that's just right now. Yeah.
She's making herself increasingly beginning to feel at home here.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like it's my kitchen either. It's not just Rachel. The fact is, it's my dad's house, and he has respects pretty well our parts of the house, but he also expects us to respect his parts of the house. And frankly, the kitchen is his part of the house.
It is. So
another proof of my NE. My default mode is Eric doesn't know shit. It's way deeper. His framework is limited. So in other words, your framework is knowing is desirable in a fourth slot, hard to find way, but I still value it. But I don't value Eric knowing shit because I'm not evaluating knowledge. I'm just sucking it up, you know? So that makes sense that you would think that. But it doesn't mean that you're an NE user in the front stack at all, for sure. That sounds more like fourth slot NI.
Yeah, we could always buy an apple pie. Why are you asking? Why are you hung up on the apple pie question mark? I'm asking.
Loves apples, loves pie. I wonder what happened to his NE. It is limited by TI or C and SC Dom. Who? Who are you talking about? Frank James?
Wait, what?
Who's Crowd says, I wonder what happened to his NE. Is it limited by TI or the SC Dom? I don't know what you're talking about. What would my reality be like if I were TE polar? I mean, you'd basically just you'd conclude that what matters is making sure everybody gets to do things the way they want to do things, and that it's always wrong to presume that there's a right way to do things. Basically, that's kind of a value explanation of TE polar. Oh, of me? Okay, Cloud. So you're using all the ideas I've come up with to prove to me that I don't come up with ideas? It's funny. I don't know, ISFJ, huh? Okay, sure. In a land of fairies and hibiscus flowers, I am an ISFJ.
Ooh, can I go there too?
Fairy hibiscus land?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You get to be whatever type you want to be there. That's where Cloud lives all the time.
But I don't know what types live there.
Fairies, hibiscuses, and
I'll be the hibiscus.
And typeless wonders like Cloud.
Aw, how nice. I'll be the question marks too.
So the thing is, as far as if we talk about those fields and stuff, we look at the different functions. TI is an epistemology function in coordination with either NI or SI. It's going to conclude that inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Inconsistencies are a problem. FI, it's going to conclude that things that make you feel bad are a problem.
True.
Whether it's with NI or SI.
True.
NI, it's gonna know the identity of a thing. It's gonna know the patterns and how they play across time, and that's gonna be true whether it's with TI or FI.
True.
And SI is going to know what your resources are, where your stuff is, what happened before, what's relevant, or at least associatively so, with what's happening now, and going to know what can be anticipated from based on what's been able to be anticipated before.
It doesn't. I still apologize for what I said. That doesn't take away anything, but I'm glad that. I have to say, I am glad that Kankan Krishnaswamy asked. I think that was a smart move.
Cloud, did you replace meat with nothing but Adderall? I bet you do feel spectacular. I replaced all my meals with Adderall for the last 4 days, and I feel great.
Okay, so how do you hurt your own feelings, Bill Burkett? Like, how is that something that you could explain?
I would like you to explain that. Also, Running Fox, you've written the words "the universe" where you needed to write the words "Eric." Adderall is for
Yo,
elephants.
Strauss.
I think Adderall is a good name for a child,
Yeah,
right? It sounds like a name.
it does sound amazing.
Adderall, Johnson's, and
Adderall.
Panadol. You call it.
Even girl, because like Addie.
My
like-
days are numbered. Cloud. I wish I could keep track of all the various times that you feel you've indicated to me that today or right now is the moment after a substantial change. Or now you understand things. Prior to now you didn't. But now you do. You've told me that about 100 times. Like 100 different days. Well, why should I believe this epiphany is somehow more permanent than any of the previous ones?
Good question.
How easy was it for you to get Adderall? I wouldn't call it easy, but it wasn't difficult. I went into my general care doctor, and the first told him what I wanted, basically, and came out the gate saying, "Okay, I'm going to try to get this." And he said, I don't prescribe that. You're going to have to go someplace else. You're going to have to go to some specialist, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, well, okay, well, just hear me out. Let me explain my situation. Maybe you got an alternate solution. And I walked out of there with a Concerta prescription, which I walked him up to being Adderall in short order. After the first month, I don't like this Concerta. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I want to try. I've researched it now. I basically did a little play called Old Man Learns About and gets prescribed Adderall because of his problem, rather than Old Man who already knows everything about this shit gets what he wants, right? You can't. So you have to sort of play dumb a little bit, and you got to tell the right stories. So you got to say, after you get your Concerta, you go, I don't like this because it makes my stomach upset. And additionally, I've been researching what some alternatives are now. The first time, you don't go in there with any specific drug you want. Or I did. I went in and mentioned Concerta, which is what my daughter had been prescribed. And that was part of my story, was like, listen, my daughter just got on this. I'd like to try it. My wife's been saying for years that you need to be on this stuff. And I told her my stuff. You became a PTNE after taking Adderall? What's that? What's a PTNE? I don't know what that is. Pitin? The thing is, the main thing that taking Adderall changed for me when I started taking it was it ultimately made. No, I didn't become an EHP after I started taking Adderall. There's a video of me on my channel of me when I was 17 years old. You can see it's exactly the same then as I was now. I am now.
Cool, Bill.
You can hear me making arguments. They interview me in this video and ask what I think about this new law. I explained that it violates the First Amendment's protection of the right to assembly, unless there's some sort of violence or peaceful assembly. So unless it's not peaceful, then the cops have no reason to demand one to pre-inform them about these assemblies that people are gathering, namely a party. It's the same answer I'd give today. In fact, it's a better answer probably than I would give today. But definitely the same guy, same kind of answer. If you read the articles I wrote in the high school newspaper, same guy for sure. Definitely need to be. So the good thing I have is I've got that angle of argument destroyed in advance. Anybody who wants to claim that I've become this way since I learned about cognitive functions, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy of some sort. All I have to do is point them to the Apache News newspaper back in high school, where I wrote things like, edgy stuff that may not be very good now when I look at it, but is undoubtedly the same person as I am now. Shockingly unchanged, actually. I'm better at I'm better at my shtick now than I used to be, but it's the same fucking shtick.
Can I pluck?
Please do what you want. Who said I need Adderall? Jason Blood. I
First
want
thing.
Adderall. I like to take it.
Just one out of place.
Jason Blood, I'd suggest maybe take Adderall. You won't feel such a need for giving it unsolicited advice. It'll probably help with that. Oh, Cloud. You so cray with all your wildness.
I took half of Adderall.
Today?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
with my Prozac. I feel normal. I feel I still feel myself.
Right. Sometimes it's fun to take drugs, fun to take drugs, fun to take drugs. Oh, sometimes it's fun to take drugs. Come and take drugs with me.
Yeah.
Isn't that a nice, warm, inclusive song about drug taking?
Yeah, and I do trust you with it.
Okay, Bubble Puppy, that's an interesting question. Do intuitives have more access to their weaker functions due to their tendency to metacognate, thereby making them more well-rounded? I don't think we have more access to those functions. I think we have a better conceptual understanding of our lack of access to those functions, which makes us more right, but not any more capable of being other than what we are.
Yeah.
It's like no matter how well an INTP cannot TINENI himself into SE. Just not going to happen. The only way to SE is to SE. And INTPs and INFPs will spend half their lives trying to FITINISI, no epistemology, their way into SE. And of course, you can't know and deliberate your way into SE because those knowing and deliberation functions are exclusive of taking action.
I think when Hambone said that the advice that he would give to himself
Say yes.
or INTPs was say yes, to more things was really good advice. I remember my only INTP friend in high school, Alex Garrett, he actually said yes to a kickball team, being on a kickball team, and he met his wife there.
Jason Blood, okay, look at these two statements here. Firstly, meditation is 100 times better than any drug. For what purpose? I can both meditate and do drugs. They're not exclusive of each other.
I do both.
Yeah, they're absolutely not exclusive. So that's a ridiculous statement on a number of levels. First of all, just because you have found for you that drugs are inconsistent with something is no reason to generalize that onto me. And in fact, obviously my drug consumption is not impacting me negatively enough to prevent you from wanting to spend time here listening to me talk.
And
so it's not making me
not do it too. You don't have to engage in.
I'm not telling you to do drugs. Better awareness of what, Jason Blood? Better awareness. And Bill Burkett, I want to talk to you in a second because I read something a while back that you said and I'm meaning to get around to talking about it.
I think that what Bill.
I've done both too, Jason Blood. I've done both too. I've done Zazen meditation for months. In fact, it was a while back. And I've been on various drugs and medications. No, I don't consider myself medicated right now. I consider myself somebody who does drugs, who chooses to do drugs. Okay? I'm not on medication. I like to do drugs.
I like the drugs that I'm taking.
Yeah. Well, so the point though, Jason Blood, is what Zazen meditation should eventually teach you. I sat Zen for a whole year in Santa Cruz, back when I was in Santa Cruz, on a nearly daily basis. Oh, you are generalizing. Of course you are. You're making statements about the identities of meditation and drug use, not about individual people and their relationships with either. I know I can. You're not telling me I can't. You're telling me it's universally so that meditation is preferable and exclusive of. I'm telling you, you're wrong. Bill Burkett. I used to be subject to that too. I used to be very subject to self-doubt, self-loathing. I spent a lot of time saying very negative narratives to myself, like, Eric, you worthless shit. I wish you were dead. Shame and anxiety, shame on you, you fucking worthless piece of shit. It's just like I would have an ongoing negative word fast towards myself. This was back when I was drinking. And I found for me that alcohol made it impossible for me to be a healthy person in any sense of the word. But once I quit drinking, then I had sufficient room to at least begin to feel like a healthy person, fully realized. I'm not trying to solve any problem through drugs, Jason Blood. What in the world? They say, if I have a problem, then trying to solve with drugs. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, fine. I don't agree with that, though, Jason Blood, because if you're telling me that Rachel is well served to meditate instead of taking her pills that she's supposed to take, you're fucking crazy. You've received training from masters. Okay, well, look, I'm glad that you have used magical thinking to solve your problem. That's good. I use magical thinking to solve my problems too. But in the process, you made some mistakes about thinking that your magical thinking is a model of some sort, but it's not.
My joke is that the Titanic was propaganda.
The Titanic was just a propaganda conspiracy to get us to become afraid of icebergs. It's psych warfare. It's psychological warfare. The CIA is using it as our own population to make us fear icebergs.
Yeah.
Did I say something too emo? That's just how I am. Never going to reach my attention. No, Bill Burke, you didn't say something too emo. You indicated that you also have this sort of capacity to beat yourself up. The thing is, Bill Burke, we have to remember that we really have no choice but to be. And so here are words I've used in the past that were helpful to me. Eric, be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Eric, come on. Be kind to yourself. Yeah. Saying those words, when you say negative words, say those words to yourself. So, Bill Burke, be kind to yourself. Be nice to yourself. You got enough people in the world will be mean to you try to cut you down. You don't need to help them.
I'm going to choose a...
Jason Blood, how in the fucking world do you dare to conclude that my meditation in a Zen temple in Santa Cruz under a Zen master was not proper, whereas yours is?
That's pretty haughty.
I literally did it for like a year and sat just about every day in a Zen center in Santa Cruz with a Zen master guiding this process. So why are you concluding that I've not tried it properly?
Rude.
Just making claims without having tried some beautiful. I did it in the same context that you did too. I did it when I got sober in Santa Cruz. It was during the year I was sober in Santa Cruz, and I just sat Zen and I was sober. I went surfing a lot. I meditated and surfed and went to school and did a good job in general. And I thought that is one solution. And it proved to be one solution. And it wasn't the solution for me. No, I found it to be, it's a solution equivalent to AA meetings. Did you hear me, Jason Blood? What I said? Okay, but did you hear what I said? That I was having the exact same experience. I was having the experience that meditation was really helping me manage being sober, not doing any drugs, and being relatively happy. Jason Blood, are you ignoring every word I say? Are you? Are you not hearing me? I had the exact same experience as you. I was sober in college for about a year. The whole time I was sitting almost every day in a Zen temple in Santa Cruz with a Zen master in a room sitting with the group who was sitting in there. So, Jason Blood, now you're just trolling.
You're not listening to him.
Now you're just trolling, right?
Yeah.
Surely you heard what I said.
Don't forget, he has years on you.
I mean, that's not even the point. The point is, what I'm saying to you, Jason Blood, is that I have done that, and I recognize that it is an approach. So is Alcoholics Anonymous for me. Similar thing. Different approach, Western versus Eastern, but same sort of idea, that you direct a lot of observational attention towards self-well-being and identity and ontology and stuff like that in an environment that is spiritually focused. And that is an approach that is a good solution to things. It's the same thing as Zen, sitting Zen, same thing. You know, West, East, same thing as going to church or something like that, whatever, West, East. So then why would you keep saying, okay, Jason Blood, if you're genuinely not trolling, then why do you keep saying, don't make definite statements without even trying stuff out, after I've explained to you in full that what I have done, in fact, that I have not just tried it out, I've lived that life for like a full year. So why would you repeat that then if you're not trolling? And I've repeated it multiple times now. It's not like I just said it once.
And a guy like only eating like meat for 12 days is not impressive. I was vegan for like a fucking year. Okay? So like those things should be rewarded lightly.
Jason's either an ESTJ or an ENTP. One of the two. I wouldn't say it's impossible that he's an ESTJ. Cloud's typing him right there is not an insane typing, but he might be an ENTP. Okay, well, but hold on now, Jason Blood, you're totally switching gears. Now you're saying that objectively this is preferable. Prior to which you were saying subjectively I didn't have enough experience to know about it. So you're just switching. You switched your argument entirely here, right? Let's make sure we're on the same page. Acknowledge that yes. Now you put to bed the idea that I don't have enough subjective experience to justify drawing any conclusions about it. You agree with me that you're wrong about that, and now you're moving on to you're objectively right about what I disagree with you on. At least that's a new point. That's fine, but so yes, you are. A second ago, you were saying I didn't have enough experience with the thing to make any judgments about it. Do you agree you were wrong about that? But Jason, I just explained to you, I spent an entire year doing it nearly daily while being sober in Santa Cruz at a Zen temple with a Zen master. Why is that not enough? So in other words, I need to try meditation for more than a year before I can draw any conclusions about it? So why would anyone purchase from you a product that it'll take you more than a year to find out if it does any good. That I can't, no matter that after I tried it for a year and I'm not happy with it, I'm still wrong. Explain to me how that is the case. Explain to me that. You're telling me now product that I've used it and tried it daily for a year and drawn my conclusions about it. But if they're not aligned with yours, then I'm still wrong.
Like, Tiny Man 6'6". That's funny.
I mean, I'm not. This is not even passionate. I'm just trying to get clear that at this point, Jason Blood and I are. I'm just trying to get him to say, okay, yes, yes, apples are different than oranges, and oranges are different than pineapple. Basic stuff. I'm trying to get him to agree with. He's dissembling at this point.
It's hot out there. He's 2, Jason Blood. He's 2. He said he tried it out and that it's not that it doesn't work for some people, but like he did exactly what you did. That you guys are one and the same, pretty much. So like it's like you're trying to teach the teacher when you should just be listening. Also, I like meditation. I fall asleep to it sometimes, but I also take medication to help me go to sleep. So yeah, you're changing your perspective to fit your own internal narrative, not looking at his argument objectively. Exactly, emailed Anthrax. Hey, David Sanderson. It's been a little bit. How have you been? At Jason Blood, I like meditation. It's a great tool. If you combine meditation and medication, it's optimal. I'm glad you've been well, David Sanderson. WTF Rachel, says Rafael Alvarez. I think that thinking about nothing as unnatural, better visualize or think about something deeply, says Cloud.
The other thing to remember is that it's important to note that just because if we start off with a blank slate and we imagine if I'm choosing in a video game ahead of time, let's see, do I want my character to be a drug addict? I'm gonna check no, right? Do I want my character to be addicted to cigarettes? I'll probably check no. Makes sense that why burden oneself with those things? But of course, we never make choices in that context. We always end up being what we are now, what we've been before, and there's something we may or may not want to be going forward.
I want to thank Running Fox for that shout out. She said she believes in me and all that I am. And thank you. I believe in you and all that you are too.
I mean, I think that the fundamental notion of Zen, which I'd say if you have to collapse it to something, is quiet the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Is an excellent example of ontological violence against an extroverted intuitor.
That's what I say to you when I'm like, I just need to zen out. And it's like, you get it.
Yeah. For Rachel, it's important that I did experience benefits, Jason Blood. Again, you're ignoring what I'm saying. I'm not saying it didn't work. It did. Okay? I'm saying there are multiple approaches to being. And just because yours aligns with less drug use doesn't mean it's preferable.
Exactly.
Okay. Alcoholics Anonymous worked. It doesn't mean I should still be in Alcoholics Anonymous and abstinent from everything.
Yeah.
I am more optimized now than I've ever been before, including when I was sitting Zen. I am more whole person. I know who I am, what I enjoy, etc. I don't think meditation is evil at all. I just think what I do think is evil is the notion that of projecting what works for you as a generalized solution, and especially as a normative value. And that's what Jason Blood is doing here. He's saying, because normatively it would be ideal if you had to choose ahead of time, you choose, no, I don't want to be addicted to drugs or cigarettes, but therefore it's normatively preferable to get those things out of your life. That's absolutely not the case. Just as things like if you throw trash in the ocean, a coral reef grows up on it. Jason Blood's of the mindset that we have to get rid of that trash, even though it kills the reef. So we don't want to do that. Every person has their own being and experience. What works for me and what works for you are different things. And there's no universal good to be had in meditation is preferable to my approach, for example. My approach is sustainable drug use. I've gotten rid of all the drugs that I can't sustain doing, and I do the ones that I have in sustainable fashion. And that works beautifully for me. And it allows me to attain the change I want in my head when I want to. It allows me to have different periods of ups and downs and sustain it. And I'm fortunate. It's like I've got exactly the life I want to have. So if I were to try to convince myself there was something wrong with me that I needed to improve or fix with meditation, I'd be lying to myself. And if I listened to Zen and said the problem was I need to quiet my monkey mind, I'd be internalizing limiting narratives and harmful narratives, because I am an NE-dom.
Point Strauss.
There's an objective that says that for most of the population, it's better than medication. I mean, so like, should Rachel stop taking her psych drugs? I mean, because she does have psychotic episodes when she stops. It's not like
and you've been there for like some of the streams.
I mean, I know you're not forcing anybody to do meditation. I'm not saying you're forcing anybody to do meditation. I'm saying you're presenting as your affirmation that meditation is a universal good and universally preferable to medication. I'm saying it's not. You're wrong. And there's lots of instances where people should take medication and not meditate. If
exactly,
if I've got an infection, if I've got a tooth infection, I should not meditate it away. I should obviously take antibiotics. I didn't say you were forcing people to do medication. Stop forcing people to do meditation. Stop putting words in my mouth. When did I ever say that Jason Blood is forcing us to meditate? I never said anything of the sort.
Steely Vibe, it is not intruding. I appreciate the question. It is scary. There are things that are going on that I think are real, but it's not actually happening, and it feels like real life, and it's terrifying.
Okay, well,
it's like,
look, I don't disagree, Jason Blood. The people in general, there may be a tendency to over-medicate in some circumstances. I do believe, for example, that if I were to exercise regularly, that I would probably have more energy and without any kind of amphetamines or anything. And that if I were to find a sustainable sort of SI program of SI hygiene or whatever across time, that it would work. But that doesn't mean it's preferable.
Emailed Anthrax, I don't really appreciate you speaking for me. What it really is, it's like my brain is like going haywire, like the circuit board is going crazy.
In defense of Email Anthrax, I think it's fair to say that he's describing his perceptions of what he sees.
Yes, exactly.
Okay?
That's what you see. But it's like circuit board in my mind is going off. It's like that. Circuit board isn't working.
Meditation
is working overtime and starting to spark,
Meditation is best for people who have SE high and NI low.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're trying to get people to do when they're meditating, is get in touch with their NI, sit with their NI in an NI state of readiness. rather than engaging in action on the internal metaphysical field. But of course, that's great for those specific types. For SE DOMs, meditation is great. For NI DOMs, meditation is natural. Basically, it's a naturally occurring thing that they need to go back to periodically to revigorate, whether they call it meditation or not.
Yeah.
This sort of being without thinking. When we typed that INFJ the other day, he was talking about how great it is for him to go rollerblading because he doesn't think when he's rollerblading at all.
I want to say to Celie, Bob, yes, it is similar. And usually when I'm like in a manic phase, it's because I'm not sleeping.
I don't think she feels bitchy today. She doesn't seem very bitchy at all today.
No.
You got so triggered that you want me to be an ENFP. You might be an INTP, but I, as an ENTP, man, a lot of INTPs bet it does. Okay, well, I would agree that Jason Blood's either an ENTP or an ESTJ. But right, so Cloud's an example of somebody that would benefit from the unnaturalness of meditation, because for him the unnaturalness is an unnaturalness of knowing when he wants to act. For me, it's the idea of receiving when I want to put. It's a little different.
K Krishna Sarma Bagu says you're right. Oh my God. Yes, correct, Eric. I need my alone time just to be. And yeah, it's a lot like that.
So the tricky thing in self-growth in general is the following. One, the following true statement is there's nothing wrong with you, by which I mean inherently. There may be something wrong with you that you need to get, there's somebody one person here is a paraplegic. So it's disingenuous to say there's nothing wrong with them at all. But what I mean, ontologically, there's nothing wrong with who you are. Okay. And at the same time, in a self-growth kind of community like this, we think we would like to be a more optimal version of ourselves. And so it's a challenging, thorny path to walk, in which to both embrace who we are inherently without being resistant to positive growth. Some of the time, it's correct to say, oh, you don't like that part of me? Fuck off. Some of the time, it's correct to say, oh, maybe I need to think about this part of me. And it depends on, and it's hard to determine. It's what makes really solid self-concept rare and long in coming.
Sage advice from 7. My ESFJ friend has no problem poking fun at me for being manic if I'm at all being proud of myself or hyper. 10-man 6-6, that doesn't sound like a good friend.
That is a sort of subtle ontological violence there. They're saying, you be different. And sometimes we all do that to each other, because sometimes we don't feel like dealing with the way the other person's being right now.
Yeah. So
but that friend of yours is trying to take an approach that says, when you're like this, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And that is something you should probably just make explicit to your friend. Be aware that when you're saying this to me, you're saying that when I am acting this part of myself, when I am manifesting this side of myself, that there's something wrong with me. And obviously, criticism kills friendship. If you have a friend who's criticizing you all the time, you're not going to be friends with them for very long.
Exactly. Show them that's your boundary.
Yeah, and the best way to show somebody that they've crossed your boundary is to punch them in the face.
No, it's not.
That's not real advice, everybody. Don't do that. Faith as a foundation definitely truly enables all that and makes it interesting. I mean, I'm with Lawnmower to some extent here, in the sense that I also have found for me that
faith.
That a Western understanding of faith and faith-based behavior, such as prayer, is a preferable form of magical engagement to other ones than alternatives. But the reason is, of course, the reason it's so much more comfortable for me to pray than it is to meditate is that prayer is all about the narratives, and meditation is against the narratives. When you meditate, you try to pretend as though you're not a sinner or a moral agent who has positive indications and negative obligations. You try to pretend as though you are um, not a moral agent, that you are like an animal, uh, one with the moment, one with nature, stuff like that, or whatever. What would be the ideal meditation for each type? Okay, so I think that ENTPs would be well served to do yoga, and ENFPs as well. It's SI meditation, but
I was just thinking about doing some yoga.
Yoga, stretching type stuff,
Right.
exercise in general, and or ride time. That is, say, taking a bath, getting cozy, settling in on the couch. That's a form of meditation as well.
Yeah.
So that's for ENTP, ENFP. For fourth slot, TI meditation would be, I guess,
It's good.
I mean, I think it involves more deliberation. You know, it involves. It's hard to say what would be best. I guess reading an intellectual book would be good meditation for an ESFJ or an ENFJ. Reading something like Exciting Tables and Words, my personality type book, would be good for ESFJ or ENFJ.
Should I try to do a crab?
If you want to. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
I did it last night.
Oh, you did it? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think
Doesn't take my time.
NEDOMs really need to connect with their bodies. Okay, yoga, whatever you want, stretching. I just think of yoga as stretching. Okay, yoga and stretching are the same thing. You stretch, you go like this or whatever. It's the same thing as stretching. So if you don't want to call it yoga, call it stretching. Stretching is good. Exercise is good for NEDOMs. For NIDOMs, I think the best kind of meditation is exercise. It's going out and riding their bike, or just the doing of moving the physical body through space, or what Rachel's doing now, which is sort of like body stuff, stretchy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that as a kid a lot. I told my grandma, like, I was kind of like a monkey. I used to like to hang on trees upside down and ride my bike. That was always good. Take walks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big walker.
Yeah. And then, for SEDOM, a good kind of meditation is meditation. Like,
Meditation, yeah.
where you try to clear your mind and be in the moment without acting. In the moment without acting is a state of being that allows the SEDOM to give their NI time to know instead of always rushing ahead of it. Hey, Eric, do INTJs benefit from having a daily routine, or should they try to develop their NI so they don't need a routine to make their decisions? I would say that INTJs develop a specific approach towards managing that stuff that works for them. It's when you have TE as a tool function, it's going to be difficult for me to provide a generalized answer, because as their tool function, they're constantly coming up with ways to be more effective or do things more efficiently, or how to do things. So they probably have a method they use, whether it involves keeping a regular schedule. That might be the case. That might be a way to work around SI. It might be they employ a lot of external helpers like apps and stuff to tell them when to do what, where to go where. But it would depend on the INTJ. TE is basically a particularist function. So solutions are going to be particularized when done with TE. Cleaning is good meditation, I think, for like maybe INTPs and ISTPs. It's kind of a FE action thing. Cleaning or tidying up, decorating, maintaining your space. Those things are going to be satisfying to INTPs, INFPs, ISFJs maybe too as well. But I don't know if that counts as meditation because they do that naturally. They need to meditate by being more. For SI Dom, they meditate by ideating basically. Like I think when Cameron comes over here and talks on the live stream, that's meditative for him, even though it seems contradictory to the idea of meditation. I think it relieves him of the excesses of self, and that's what meditation, whatever you want to call it, should do. It should relieve you of the excesses of self. The excesses of myself may be extroverted intuition, but the relief is not to be adversarial to extroverted intuition like meditation is, but rather to relieve it, knowing that you're going to go back to it. That's SI, not NI.
I like to do things too. Like I like to meditate and music a lot of the times. Like I find like when I'm cleaning and I have my music on, it's very meditative for me. I also meditate at night. I fall asleep to it.
And I'm not saying meditation didn't work for me, Steely Bob. I'm saying it did work for me. I'm saying that it doesn't have exclusivity over solvency, and its solution for what's a legitimate problem, namely, sort of ontological dissatisfaction, which at one point I saw a TV show in my teenage show that explained it better than anything else. It said, reality is just moving too slowly. You know, I'm restless, I'm bored, I'm anxious, I need stimulus. Yes?
We're almost out of
No,
this.
we got a whole other joke of it.
We do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Great. Very nice.
Also, I'm living right now. I'm living my best life and going to go back and forth with you N words.
Go back and forth with me in words. Well, see, this is the thing. Rachel and I are very well matched, in part because there's the meditation type of time you direct, but there's also a time where you're in your comfort zone, and then there's times when you're out of your comfort zone. Rachel and I are in our comfort zones most of the time. So we have less of a need to relieve the tension of ontological dissonance. You might term being in a way that's inconsistent with you being comfortable as ontological dissonance. So, for example, if you're FI polar and you're constantly being asked to feel strongly about things, it's gonna generate ontological dissonance. When Rachel's upset and we're fighting and she's saying things that are making me feel a lot of stuff, then I have a lot of ontological dissonance, and it's stressful. It's difficult for me, and those are the moments when people need to have some sort of self-concept anchoring process, like prayer or meditation or something like that.
Same.
But the thing is, if you're not experiencing a lot of ontological dissonance, and I'm not, and Rachel isn't, in general, we aren't experiencing much because most of the dissonance I'm experiencing comes from my SI. I keep expecting to be made to be skittish more than I am. Life makes people skittish. Life demands shit of people, and then they feel obligated to do it, and they feel pressure, and they're stressed, and then they get scolded for doing it wrong or whatever. Adults, everybody in the world, we still operate as though under this basic frame that we learn when we're kids, that if we don't do things the way it's expected of us, then we will get in trouble. I still worry about getting in trouble, even though it's insane, right? Who am I worried about getting in trouble from? But Rachel. I'm worried about getting in trouble from Rachel. Rachel worries about getting in trouble from me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Even though neither of us want to get each other in trouble at all.
No.
We're not looking to get each other in trouble.
We care about each other. I was looking at our slot stack. Like, I'm really studying it. And like it makes sense to me. Like a lot of it like makes sense to me why ENTP and INFJ get along so well. And has a lot to do with that metaphysical.
Yeah,
Metaphysical.
for sure. Lawnmower, I open my third eye every time I poop. That's where it comes out
You
of.
fucking know it.
So if you're telling me pooping is going to send me straight to hell, I'm sorry. I can't stop pooping.
Don't forget his butthole's color is electric blue.
No, my electric blue third eye. It's my butthole.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. God doesn't want me to not poop. There are a lot of reasons why meditation does not work for people. A, it's difficult. B, it takes time. All right. Well, but the thing is, it's not even a matter of there are a lot of reasons why meditation does not work for people. A better way to put it is there are a lot of potential reasons why meditation may not be the right choice for somebody, even if it does work. Right? It's like the amount of energy and resources you put into the solution have to be worth less than the problem costs, or else you're not helping things, right?
Yeah. Cost benefit.
I will only go to hell if I accidentally fall in. Well, I'll try not to do that. I'm kind of clumsy though. I could be like on my way into heaven, looking at the sign above the pearly gates, accidentally step off the cloud and fall into hell.
Oh,
and it takes like 1,000 years for me to go through the bureaucracy to get myself back out of there.
That sounds like the tarot.
Combo lacks insights here right now with this round thingy. What's round? Come on in, Dad. What's going on?
I just went and saw a nurse.
Oh yeah, for your doctor's appointment. How did that go?
I didn't have, it's not a doctor's appointment. I don't have it till Monday.
Oh, well, you went and saw a nurse at urgent care?
I went and saw a nurse at CVS.
Mm.
Oh, about what?
What do you think?
The heart thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a real nurse. They have a real nurse at CVS to look at you?
No. Can I tell
Sure. My bad.
tell
Go
my
ahead.
story? All right. So what she said is she said she couldn't tell anything. And she said, neither can urgent care. She said, if there's anything that goes, you just go straight to emergency. She said, urgent care doesn't have the equipment that they need. So what we'll probably have is
Okay.
Guy's okay.
Like how people high on DMT say they just don't realize it's demons. Those DMT clockwork elves are demons. Clockwork elves. I mean, why would there be a drug that made you see demons? Like,
Also,
if the demons are around, why can't you see them when you're not on that drug?
also, did you take your bong rip yet?
No. Do you want to use this bong?
No, I think you should do it.
Oh yeah, I was about to, but then my dad came in and I figured
Yeah,
it was about.
And I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna step mine up.
Death exists only for sinners. That's not true. I don't think plants sin very much. Do you?
What?
You think plants sin? I don't think
No.
plants can sin.
No.
But death happens to plants too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not true that death only exists for sinners.
Agreed. What was I going to say to you? I can't remember a thing. Welcome back.
Okay, well, why do you conclude that they're not just hallucinations? It seemed to me that they're just hallucinations. It seemed to me that believing in such things as something other than hallucinations would be bad. But so you think taking DMT is bad? That it makes you open up to evil in some sense?
I want to go over there and pick a fortune cookie fortune for someone. Who do you
Okay.
think I should do for?
Let's pick a fortune cookie fortune for Jason Blood.
Jason Blood. Here's your fortune. Kindness leads to happiness.
Jason Blood, kindness leads to happiness. Okay, remember that. Now one for Nicholas Watson. Nicholas Watson, here's your fortune.
Your next triumph will be won through kindness.
Oh, also, another person who needs advice about kindness. Okay, and lastly, let's have a fortune for Cloud.
There is much to be learned by listening to others.
That is a good fortune for you, Cloud. There is much to be learned by listening to others. I also believe it can be attributed to hallucinations, but in the end, yes, it opens doors. Sober-minded. I mean, do you think they mean that literally or metaphorically? The Bible, it says sober-minded, does it mean sober in one's judgments, like prudent, or do you think it actually means not impacted, not have one's mental state impacted at all by something? Because usually when people say being sober-minded, yeah, that's fine. Hey, Jason Blood, we're cool. We're all good. We are all good. All right. I was just using that as an argument. I don't care. Actually. I actually don't care. If you give me unsolicited advice, you're welcome to. I just thought I'd use that as an argument. You believe both literally, figuratively, in all ways. But I mean, look, the word sober has two different meanings. Okay, so he makes sober decisions is a different meaning than he is not intoxicated. So
I got for Raphael the same thing. Your next triumph will be won through kindness.
Okay, get one for KKSP. Do the top left corner.
I'm doing this one.
Okay, fine.
Share your good news with others.
Share your good news with others. Ken Christian Starman Pagoo. It's time for you to share the good news.
Yeah,
I want you to go
what
up to
good
people.
news do you have?
Go up to people, Ken Christian Starman Pagoo, and begin with this. Have you heard the good news?
Okay, I'll do it for Eric.
Okay.
A friend will bring you a big surprise soon.
A friend will bring you a big surprise soon. Who's getting a big surprise? Raphael?
No, you.
Oh, that was for me. Okay.
That's for you.
All right, but look, Lawnmower, ancient civilizations that didn't have psychedelics also ended up doing all kinds of fucked up shit.
Yeah, opium was like highly used
I mean,
in many places.
the thing, and the other thing is, in current society, there's people have done more psychedelics in the last, let's say, 20 years or 50 years than all the rest of human history combined total. And there have been almost no human sacrifices. You know, so if in fact psychedelics led to human sacrifice, then certainly there have been a lot more human sacrifices recently than in the olden days.
True that.
It's my dick in a box. My dick in a box, girl. I love that song. You are a harbinger of joy.
Yes, she is.
Kang Krishna Sarma Pagoo is a harbinger of joy. Harbinger.
See, those emojis just brought your kindness, just brought people to a good place.
Look, stone ape theory is rubbish, like all evolutionary theories are rubbish. It doesn't, it's like, it's ridiculous. But where did we all come from? The fact is, species seem to just spontaneously emerge in niches for which they would be perfectly well fit. So I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows where they came from. If you want a science answer, God is a fine answer, but it's not really an answer.
I
You know,
like so pound that one for me.
pound it. Yeah, evolution's BS for sure. The thing is, if you've not argued with me about evolution before, watched any of my arguments about evolution before, let me start by just saying this. When I say evolution is bullshit, I mean it completely fails to make its affirmation. It claims to explain where species come from, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying I have an alternative explanation. I don't need to have an alternative explanation because I'm not the one who's claiming to have an explanation. Evolution is, and it utterly fails to explain it.
I have the King Christmas song Goose song stuck in my head.
You can't both have a species, which is definitionally a self-replicating genome, and also have evolution. With all due respect, that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard from you in 10 hours of listening to you. Okay, well, let me convince you right now. First of all, definitionally, a species is a self-replicating genome, right? Second of all, what all scientists, including all evolutionary scientists, agree is that there are no positive mutations, and thus came about the nearly neutral and neutral theory of evolution, which explained that while all adaptations are derived from mutations, those mutations are all only neutral or nearly neutral, so it requires genetic drift to explain increased, apparently adaptive complexity. Okay. The other thing is, if in fact we can eliminate genetic drift as an explanation because of the drift barrier, which mathematically tells us that it doesn't work at all over populations of about 100. We can eliminate the basic concept of evolution by simply pointing out that if evolution's concept were correct, then we'd see increased genetic diversity with increased population size. So if in fact there was some sort of mutation-driven or selection-driven or survival of the fittest-driven kind of movement towards increased complexity, then you would see with populations that are huge, like trillions of pigeons, you'd see a wider range of genetic diversity within that species than you do in very small species. like California condors. In fact, that's not the case. There's the same amount of genetic diversity no matter what. All the mechanisms we can identify return the genome to the mean, not deviate from it. Every bit of selection we can see eliminates deviance from the mean, does not reinforce it. And there's no possible conceptual way mathematically to explain how any advantage, no matter how great it might be, can possibly overtake the genome once the population is of any reasonable size. In other words, it doesn't matter how advantageous that pigeon's mutation is, it's not going to take over the genome. Additionally, I would point out, for people who are still mistakenly thinking that evolution is something that gradually happened over 4 billion years, not true. Almost all of the species that exist currently happened in a very short period of time and was known as the Cambrian explosion. There's no explanation by any evolutionist as to why it is the case that evolution stopped working after the Cambrian explosion. There was, however, an explanation that explained that it did, namely called punctuated equilibrium. Punctuated equilibrium is an approach to evolution that says the fossil record shows us that all these species showed up really quick in just a couple million years. So what must happen is evolutionary forces are dormant for long periods of time. Then they turn on, they work really fast, and then they go dormant again for long periods of time as a species reaches genomic stasis. Well, there had been a recent, in fact, just a few days ago, there was published a report that says that punctuated equilibrium has now been disproved, that none of the evidence that was cited in the punctuated equilibrium report holds any muster. So they're returning to gradualism. Of course, gradualism conflicts with the fossil record, which tells us that there have been extinction events every 40 million years until 66 million years ago, and the Cambrian explosion is responsible for almost all the species all at once. So there's lots of other reasons why it's bullshit, of course. No matter how hard we push to speciate a given species, in other words, we can breed breeds out of a species like we do with dogs. But no matter how hard we push that breeding program, no matter how hard we differentiate that species, vastly much more than nature ever could, we've never been able to actually speciate them. In other words, a Chihuahua is still reproductively viable with a wolf. And there's no way nature could ever possibly conceive of that much differentiation within a species, because remember, every force within the evolutionary spectrum of vectors returns things to the genetic norm and mean, and eliminates deviance from the mean. So if you think I'm talking out my ass, you haven't done any research about evolution. There's no meaningful explanation for where speciation comes from that is Darwinian evolution based. Can I stop smoking weed at any time? It's a weird question. Can I stop smoking weed? I don't want to. I mean, I do stop smoking weed all the time. Like yesterday, after I smoked a certain amount, I was like, I'm done. I don't feel like smoking more weed today. There were not a number of inaccuracies in that summation. Name one, Genexial. Name one. What inaccuracy? Name one. Name one. I'm waiting, Genexial. Name one. You said there were a number of inaccuracies. That means more than one. I guess one's a number, so. I didn't say it happened in a million years. You have misquoted me. I said in just a few million years. A couple or few million years. And yes, it did. That's what the fossil record demonstrates. You only like to reference it when it serves your purpose. The best piece of evidence in favor of evolution is the branching fossil record. So if you're asking me, well, you explained the branching fossil record, which apparently shows multiple species emerging from fewer. That's the best piece of evidence that evolution has, right? But I don't need to explain that. You need to explain the mechanism by which one species emerges, where a new species emerges from an existing species. No, that's an extinction event. Genexial, that's an extinction event. I've talked about extinction events. You need to do a lot of research before you're ready to talk to me about this. I'm very well researched on this. Nobody's responding to any of my points. Also, Gen Xio, I want to point this out. You're not responding to anything I said. You're not engaging with my points. If in fact it is the case, that species can be broken into two species, why haven't we speciated dogs yet from wolves? Why are they still reproductively viable? I mean, why? Why can't we speciate with plants, which we've been breeding for thousands and thousands of years intensely? Why can't we speciate anything? I mean, I hope it's updated. I hope it's updated with the article I shared the other day, because not anymore. Nobody believed in it at all. It's complete nonsense. There's like multiple competing nonsense sub-theories to try to justify some sort of explanation for evolution. Nobody's been able to provide any meaningful explanation for me. And here's the problem, Gen Xio. I do have the answer. I don't have the answer, but I'm speaking correct. Because here's the thing, Gen Xio. The advantage I have over anybody else that I encounter pretty much is that I'm a professional debate coach. So I understand the way argumentation works. Evolution is an affirmation, okay? It's affirming that it has an explanation for something. I'm calling it to account. Provide your explanation, and it fails to do so. So therefore, I'm negating. I do not need a counter advocacy. I do not need to have a better explanation. You're the ones, evolution, that is claiming to explain things, so you need to justify that explanation. And if we use the same approach that we use for any other theory, evolution would be in the trash heap of history a long time ago. If we took the same approach we took with, say, the theory of relativity, which provided testable things that we tested and verified or falsified with, right? Then we would discover that evolution has been long since falsified. That's why they have to keep updating the theory, making more convoluted explanations and so forth, because it's wrong. That's not the way that species diversity emerges. A genome is definitionally self-replicating. You accept it waiting for something better. So you accept a lie while you're waiting for the truth, rather than deal with the fact that we don't have an answer to that question yet. That's the truth. You have the truth in front of you right now. There is no adequate explanation, and evolution is completely bullshit. It doesn't even claim that anymore, Jason Blood. It no longer claims anymore that random mutation gave rise. It no longer claims that. No evolutionary scientist would agree with that statement anymore. Interestingly, why this theory hasn't been falsified by failing to uphold its predictions, the answer is this. Because unlike every other theory, this one has been positioned as science versus religion. It's not a theory. It's a broken theory. It's been disproved by its own testing mechanisms. The theory of evolution produced plenty of things that said, okay, if this is right, then this would be the case. For example, the genetic diversity thing. If evolution's basic idea was correct, then larger species with larger number of individuals in them would have greater genetic diversity than smaller species. It just is the case. And so since that is falsified by the data, once we were able to test for that, we discovered, no, that's not the case. But instead of falsifying the theory of evolution as we should have, scientists said, yeah, but remember, it's us versus religion, so we can't give in. I don't care about intelligent design. I'm not arguing about any other affirmation. Evolution is making its aff. It needs to defend it, for God's sake. And it fails utterly to do so. I would be ashamed of myself or any of my debaters if they were to go into any tournament with a case as weak as evolution. Okay, epigenetics have an impact. Epigenetics are why genomes don't stay healthy forever. It is true. Genomes don't stay healthy forever. A perfectly healthy genome would always replicate healthy instances of that genome. But because of epigenetics and because of nearly neutral mutations, the genome gets sicker and sicker over time. Provided it doesn't separate into different populations, subpopulations or whatever, in which case some of those populations may be less sick and some may be more. Dog speciation isn't required for the animals to survive. I don't think it's required for the animals to survive. Yeah, evolution says let's prefer our science sounding explanations over explicit non explanations of religion. Well, I mean, I agree that religion's explanations for where everything came from are totally inadequate as well, because it doesn't actually answer any questions meaningfully. Why do we want to know where everything came from? Well, presumably we're going to use that knowledge for something to explain things. As you see what happens with evolution. Lots of times you'll hear all kinds of shit explained through the evolutionary frame as you read stuff. And of course that frame's false, but it's the idea that things evolve over time is not false inherently in and of itself. I'm a more evolved form of myself than I used to be.
Can you use your earphones?
Sure.
Thanks. Oh shit. I don't know if I can.
I might have to use yours.
Yeah. I'll go inside for them. Thank you. Oh no, I have them. Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, look, Gen X Seal, if I were to make an affirmation, if I had to make an affirmation, the best affirmation, I think the easiest one to make is simulation. Because if you're talking about simulation, it really explains why we have the 40 million years thing. There was an extinction event every 40 million years until 66 million years ago. And that totally sounds like somebody starting over a game again and again and again, right? Like he keeps trying to get to intelligent life, but whatever the mechanics of evolution of species within the game are, they are he's failing at them. In other words, he first ends up with just corals, and then he ends up with, a bunch of ferns, but no animals. Then he ends up with animals, but too many animals and big ass dinosaurs. And so then you can't get intelligent life because the dinosaurs keep eating it or something. He starts over one last time, and finally he gets intelligent life, and there hasn't been an extinction event now in 66 million years. So I like the simulation notion. I think that's as good an explanation as any, but it still doesn't really answer any questions, right? So if it were a simulation, and not a base level reality, so to speak, how would we test that, and how would it be different, and what might we look for? Well, one thing we might look for is a fossil record that makes no sense, right? Like, how did all that shit happen there? That doesn't make any sense. That might be an example of a fossil of a simulation. Another thing that might be an example of a simulation is if you can find bugs, so to speak. When we start getting quantum in our science, things start getting weird. Like, how can this both be over there? Things start breaking the rules, the grammar of the game. So, like, for example, in a game, I remember I used to play games where sometimes you'd like get stuck in a wall or something, and you'd be halfway in the wall, like it would be a bug in the game. Well, it's not like there's a bug exactly. Sometimes there might be bugs in this simulation that might account for certain things that are apparently unexplainable. They might account for things like ghosts. But if it were a simulation though, and we were to try to push a simulation in which you got self-aware individuals who can take whatever action they want and want to act directly upon the simulation. If you test the barrier of the simulation, so to speak, well enough, you're going to run afoul of some things that make it seem like maybe it's not as reality as we understood it. That would be quantum mechanics and such, DNA might be primordial intelligence. Well, it's not even a theory, right? It's no more a theory than evolution or God.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's an explanation, but it's certainly not a theory. Evolution is a disproved explanation. Simulation theory is an unprovable. It's not a theory because it doesn't provide anything to test it, right? If you're going to say it's a simulation and you want that to have meaning, then you have to say what would be the cues that we could turn to and test to determine if it's real or simulated. If we don't have any of those, then it's not a theory at all. It's just speculative, like God. As far as an argument goes, or it doesn't answer any real questions. Now, I mean, it's something I was aware of a long time ago as a long-time science fiction fantasy reader. So he may have popularized it, but it's been in the mix for a long time. If you search really, really hard, you can find one claim that there's been speciation of a virus, that they have successfully speciated viruses. But if you actually look at it, what you see is that they've got CRISPRed viruses. In other words, yeah, if you cut out a bunch of their DNA and shit and put in the new DNA from another virus and you create a new thing that's reproductively viable, it's a new species. Okay, but that's not evolution. That's creationism. You just created a new species.
I don't mean to change the subject, but at some point when you're done, can you draw me cards? Because yesterday at the tower and I...
Yeah, sure. We'll do that after I smoke this cigarette.
Cool.
Okay? I'll let you I'll let you chat for a bit while I pull this.
Sure. I just sat on your cigarettes. Not enough to break them. Hi, everyone. Hey, Silent Black. It's good to see you. I was speaking of you before. Eric remembered the jingle to, what is it called?
General Foods International Coffee.
General Foods International Coffee.
Celebrate the moments of your life.
Yes. And I vaguely remember you, knowing of that brand and drinking it too, if my memory serves me correctly.
Tomorrow.
Punctuated equilibrium can be contrasted with evolution by phyletic gradualism, in which evolution occurs at a constant rate. Eldridge and Glaude claim that this hardly ever happens, and the dispute between the two theories is one of the most important in evolutionary biology.
All right, but here's the thing, Winston's mom. Go to Google News and search for punctuated equilibrium. There could be another kind of life out there that created us. If there is, they're not nearby. They didn't stick around. They went far away. And I mean, look, what the data actually suggests, if you look at it all, is that you've got sort of fairly rapidly appearing species filling in an ecosystem that suddenly was conducive to supporting more different kinds of species than existed. Fossils of the Bryozoan genus, a group of aquatic invertebrates thoroughly investigated by the excellent paleontologist Alan Cheatham, have been the prime example of punctuated equilibrium. Okay, so here's the thing. Even if we were to say punctuated equilibrium was correct, it's meaningless because there's no explanation of why or what or how evolutionary processes get turned off and go dormant or get turned on and are active. Because basically it's saying, they evolve real quick and then they stop evolving. So at least the good thing about punctuated equilibrium is it at least acknowledges that all of our current data is that we don't see evolution happening anymore. Things are not still evolving. That's not the case. So punctuated equilibrium is right about that. It is not the case that things are still evolving. Is it the case that they were evolving during the Cambrian period? Well, the fossil record makes it look like that because it's a branching fossil record. And it does appear as though more species emerged from fewer. However, it would also appear, if you were to do the same thing archaeologically, it would appear the same thing with houses that a larger house emerged from a hut. It evolved up from a hut into a bigger house. Well, no, the hut was torn down and then the bigger house was built.
Yeah. Oh, bye, King Krishna Sarmapaku. I love those flowers. Thank you.
That's not true, Raphael. I really dislike this notion that psychedelics are mind opening, door opening, or whatever. I really dislike it because it's the meanings that one draws from psychedelic experiences are subjective, particularist, personal meanings. They are not things that you should necessarily put any weight in. They're certainly not things that provide you a better understanding about the world and other people, or clarity or wisdom or anything like that. It's all bullshit. There are no drug gurus out there who go, I've learned what I've learned from drugs. I'm going to tell you and share you my drug wisdom. Those people are all charlatans.
What does that mean?
It means they're selling you snake oil.
Timothy O'Leary is that kind of guy.
Yeah. Can Krishna Sarmapagu, good night. Don't let the Fred bugs bite.
Good one.
See you later, Gen XL.
Twas a good chat.
Twas not twas.
Mm-hmm. Twas not twas. Can you do the cards, maybe, please?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. Okay, we're gonna do some cards here.
Yesterday.
I'm gonna do a quick.
It's my life,
Quick, I'm gonna do a
Ooh.
3 pull. 1.
Ooh, Queen of Wands.
Queen of Wands.
Thank you for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
There you go. You can't argue with me about the drug gurus. Yeah, it's so dumb.
That so describes me so well. I look at the stars at night. I feel like add all queens on the Queen of Wands, and Look at me here, go run, yay! Let's go adventure time.
Cloud, why would you possibly think that you can only believe in simulation theory if you also believe in evolution? What? Huh?
Can we do it for you?
Holographic Charizard? That sounds like a badass Pokemon.
That's the one that you would get if you played Pokemon Go.
Bum, 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 bum.
Holographic Charizard would be fun.
Does he make the same arguments I'm making, Jason Blood? I'm not saying I have all the good arguments, but I'm curious. Does he have a lot of good arguments that I'm not making yet? So I'd like to cop them. If he does. Oh, is this for me? And
2 up.
that one popped out.
Cups.
Popped out all by himself.
Aw.
This one. Apprentice. Showing off my apprentice work.
Yeah, it's my day 3.
Cool. And uh-oh. Shovel for a rake card. Shovel for a rake.
Yeah. You know, I would love to go out and. What do you think that means for you?
Well, I think it means that for whatever it is that we're doing later after work, I'm at risk for falling into a bad TE pitfall. And then, what was the apprentice thing? And then so I think that even links into it there, which is I need to pay attention to what I've learned, and instead of still being bad TE apprentice person. So
Cool.
it's advising me of what to watch out for and pay attention to if we work on something later tonight.
Yeah.
Such as
Sweet.
possibly the dancing video.
Cool.
But that's where I need to be like, okay, don't be TE dumb, NI dumb here. Think hard, be smart. So anyway, that's what I think I'm supposed to do.
This was a NSYNC move. Like in one of their dances.
Uh-huh.
I can definitely do shit for you.
I would like to see you do the NSYNC move. Fun.
I have to watch the
Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's smart. Yeah, he's smart. That guy is smart. I didn't know he had a book.
Who?
I didn't know. See, I think he's making a mistake. The big mistake I think he's making is to self-identify as an intelligent design person, to accept the unnecessary burden that he shouldn't accept, namely that he has to have a counter affirmation.
I like this card.
It's a gateway to meditation.
Ooh. You said that was introverted, right? Yeah, extroverts are the horn.
Wait, I will go and check my bookshelf. I have terrible memory when it comes to memory. Yeah, I know. I feel you, dog. I feel you.
I'm like that too, but I've learned to get better at it. I challenge myself a lot. Is that part of an INFJ, or is that because I have a 1 in my tri type?
I don't know. I think it's because I don't know. Do you think that's a constant, or do you think you're more like that now because there's less drag on you and your spirit?
Well, yeah, I feel like it's my natural nature. I've been I'm in my most natural state here.
Cool.
Completely, yeah.
Good.
Totally. I don't really challenge myself here, to be honest with you. If it is anything, it's to improve. It's mostly positive stuff.
What do you think a Darwinistic mindset is, Claude? I'm curious. I appreciate your willingness to answer that previous question of mine, though. Thank you for
The
that.
bottom is the lovers. What it was.
It was. All right, this one here is
Winston's mom. Let's give Winston's mom a card.
Winston's
Pull.
mom. Let's see your card.
Yeah.
Card number 1.
Ooh.
You also got the Queen of
cute.
Wands.
Yeah.
Same as Rachel. Card number 2.
Ooh, 4 wands.
4 of Wands.
Celebration.
You're very practical, creative. Wands is creative, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you got 2 more cards.
Ooh.
The Meow of Swords and the Meow of Pentacles.
Ooh, solitary time. You're going to be speaking your mind.
Look here. In these cards, what do you see? You see 4 ladies and
yeah.
one background dude.
One background dude.
All of these ladies are
Yeah.
Winston's mom.
Yep.
That background dude, I don't know who that is. Maybe her son or something.
Yeah, her son.
Yeah, her son. Okay.
Maybe
So
get some wine on. I don't know if you like wine.
this card here represents Winston's mom when she's putting somebody on timeout.
Mm-hmm.
This card here represents Winston's mom when she's telling somebody to wash off their cantaloupe.
Yep.
This one here is Winston's mom when she's enjoying her ferrets, I guess.
Yeah.
And this one here is Winston's mom when she's shooting out her email address to people in the live chat,
Yeah.
trying to set up her son with Can Krishna Samarphagu. Now listen, son, you will be marrying somebody named Can Krishna Samarphagu.
Yeah.
So your name will now be Timothy Samarphagu.
Pretty good pull there.
Pretty good. Let's pull some cards for Cloud.
Yeah. Do you want to combine it with mine?
You want to do
One
some pulls
for-
too?
Yeah. Maybe like.
Shizzo. For Shizzo, mine is. You're the Queen of Swords. Your health is 4th in children. Chiron. This one is for Cloud. Well, you're the King of Moisture.
And also. Conflict.
True. This sums up Cloud in the
In the
live
chat.
King of Moisture. Throwing down. You pull one more each for Cloud.
Okay.
All right, here we go. One more each for Cloud. Let's see.
This one's jumping out
Ancient
at me.
Exil, nice to see you back. I love to see the addictive quality of this thing in action.
Aw,
That's great.
Thank you too. That's really nice.
All right, here you go. You also get the Page of Pentacles and decision time. What is your decision? Okay, so there you go. You are a man who moistly steps on books. Okay,
I can't find the conflict card.
that one?
No, I can't find it. I mixed
Okay,
them up.
we don't need to show it again. Okay, CJ
I got
O'Connell
that.
needs cards. Here we go. We pull a card for CJ O'Connell.
CJ O'Connell, cool.
And then we're going to do Gen Exil.
Here.
Moisture and conflict does seem correct, huh?
Yeah.
This is for CJ O'Connell. Ace of Swords, that's the penis card, and Earth Mama. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
You are living the full range of gender identity today, sir.
Yeah.
You've got your manly thrusting stick
Mm-hmm.
combined with your nurtured bowl of baby pentacles.
Yeah.
Now let's pull the second one.
It's
each for
pretty
him.
successful.
Here's the second one each for you, CJ O'Connell. That is all about today. You need to choose to be all of your gender identities at once. Woman, man, and everything in between. this card here, 3 of Cups. Yeah, these are for today. So look, this Lover card really goes with the penis and the Earth Mama card.
Yeah.
And this one is probably how you get there. It looks like you got in store for you this evening a lovely walk in the rose garden with a lady, complete with babies pouring wine on your head. And afterwards, you're going to put the meow in the meow.
Yep.
You're going to put the meow in the meow.
Maybe one of the three
Right.
is going to be that Earth
And
Mama.
then you're going to get her
And
pregnant.
you're going to be in a new relationship.
And she's going to get pregnant. All right, Tiny Man 66. No, we're going to do Gen Exio. Gen Exio. Here we go.
Genexial. Cool.
Find out the truth about your future reality.
Oh, I got two.
or your present
I already
reality.
got two
Okay,
for
you got
him.
you got
So,
2 already.
yeah.
Show 'em.
So the first one.
Hmm.
Boom.
You're looking at
Two
something,
swords
trying to
also.
choose, but you're excited by some new news. Some money is coming into your land. You're deciding what to do with it, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Read for you there, mister. And the second one. Ooh, this one comes right out. Uh-oh. This card right here, Genexial, indicates that sometime this evening, probably, you are going to do a task with a shovel when you should have brought a rake,
All right.
metaphorically. So this is about right tool for the right job, okay? This card here, what is this? It's newness, it's joy, it's feelings, it's new feelings, delightful new feelings,
Yeah.
okay?
So you might be a little bit clumsy with them.
Might be a little clumsy, but that's
But
probably
still,
this.
But this still is such a really great card. It's like newness and emotions and feelings.
If you were to combine these, it'd say this means don't bring your logic. You need to bring your heart.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now we know the
Maybe-
truth about you.
Think about your money, and maybe that'll be a good topic to make you feel good.
All right, Steely Bob, ready? Are you ready to get Steely Bobbed? Yeah. You get this one. Oh, you got the same one I just pulled.
Wow, that's the third time.
Okay, this thing. A lot of people are bringing the wrong tool to the job. Plus, who knows what you're going to bring the wrong tool for?
Yeah, it
You
might
will
go
bring the
well.
wrong tool for the job tonight for the following thing. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows how it's gonna go? It might
Yeah.
go really well. We're not sure.
All right, now the second card for you for Steely Bob. Here we
Steely
go.
Bob, second card. Ooh.
Ooh.
8 of Swords and the Hermit.
It's like, don't worry, just withdraw and be you.
Mm-hmm.
Just be with
Maybe-
yourself. Just have a little you time to know and deliberate. Withdraw away from action and interface towards knowledge and deliberation. But make sure that you're not just fretting.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not just fretting. Don't
Everyone
just fret.
thinks that Kylo Ren was a bad character.
Should we Tiny Man 66?
Yeah.
Okay. Tiny Man 66. Tiny Man 66. Tiny Man 66. There.
So you got
You got 2 choices. Hang out with your family or hang out in your room. Your choice.
maybe, and you could be a combination of both, and you might be totally happy by that.
You can go back and forth.
Yeah.
Go and get some snacks, chat with your friends for a
Yeah.
little bit, then go back to your room, play a
Mhm.
little bit more internet. Okay.
Okay.
Next one.
This one jumped out.
Okay. This one did too.
Ooh.
10 pence plus.
Page of Swords.
All right. So this one's about, again, like, why are you guys all crowded so close to me? This one's like, I'll chop you with my sword.
You know what? Got a lot of gossip from social media that I want to talk about with my family. You're going to feel very juvenile and joyful like a kid when you're talking.
Just remember, somewhere in your heart, there are 10 full pentacles
Careful.
of your
yeah.
wisdom. Make sure you use them all.
Exactly. And careful swords can cut your hair short. Careful.
Hey,
You do it like that.
Genexial, listen. Don't fiddle with my magic by inserting your own magic into it. You can make it explode. Okay. The core purpose of this magic is for you to just sort of know the truth of it with an awe and curious quality.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more, Eric, is a proper response. Or you're so wise, Eric. Those are proper responses. Now you're worried. Now you've got yourself worried. Why? Because you tried to cast your own spell instead of just believing with all of your heart and soul. Okay.
At some point,
Mhm.
I kind of want to get these laminated because they don't make them anymore.
Let's laminate those fuckers.
Thanks, babe, for being.
I want to get my penis laminated.
Can you? Earth Mama
Who's this for?
again.
I don't know, 26
Yourself.
Okay.
Earth
Here.
Mama.
Who else do we have to do before we go? I'm about ready to stop this because I got to work at 4 and I want a little break between this one.
Okay.
This one is for whom? For whom? Emailed Anthrax. Emailed Anthrax. You get this.
Okay.
Knight
And-
of Swords. You are chopping leaves and
Ooh.
petting lions. You are really out to do some battle today, but good battle. You see, you're chopping leaves in a thoughtful and purposeful fashion. Maybe a little haphazard, maybe a little youthful in your exuberance. Maybe you could hold back a little bit occasionally, but you're also showing strength and patience, petting lions, touching their tongues, French kissing them. You have the boldness and power to French kiss a lion, sir. Did you know that? Email Anthrax. You have that power. Yours is a self as noble and majestic as the Grand Canyon.
This was dumped out
Will
too.
you please not call my vagina the Grand Canyon? Here you go, email Anthrax. Community lasers. You're playing laser party with all your friends, sitting on your throne vivaciously again, cause yeah, you emailed Anthrax. Okay? How vivacious of you. I'm not ready to wrap this up. So thank you all for being here, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.